What if I told you that all the global conflict, all the systemic failures we see every single day aren't just a string of bad luck? What if they're actually the result of a faulty global operating system? Today, we're diving into a fascinating framework that proposes a total reboot of world leadership, engineering a massive shift away from a system that's clearly broken towards one built from the ground up on service.
So at the very heart of this idea is a tale of two seats. On one hand, you have the seat of power. This is the world we kind of know now, right? It's driven by ego, which always leads to conflict. It operates from a mindset of scarcity, that there's not enough to go around, and that leads to extractive, take-what-you-can practices. The goal is to move everyone to the seat of service. This is a whole different ballgame. It's designed for flow, it operates from a place of abundance, and its entire purpose is to build sustainable systems for everyone. This is the core transformation we're going to unpack.
And this slide right here perfectly captures the problem versus the solution. That top diagram, that's our current reality, systemic chaos. It's a tangled, inefficient, messy network where things just get stuck. Now look at the bottom diagram. That's the goal, engineered harmony. It's a smooth, optimized, intelligent flow of resources to people. The system itself is designed to manage everything for the collective good.
Okay, so to really understand the solution, we've got to get our hands dirty and diagnose the problem first. Let's dig into what the source material identifies as the root cause of all this global chaos.
The diagnosis points to one single critical bug in our source code. It's called the ego trap. Think of it as a system where leadership is fundamentally driven by seeking pleasure and extracting resources for personal or group gain. And according to this framework, this isn't just a character flaw in a few bad leaders. Oh no, it's a systemic feature that guarantees the world stays in a constant state of crisis.
And the consequence of this ego trap? Well, it's pretty dire. It creates a reality that's described as living on the endless eve of World War III. You know, that feeling of constant tension, of always being one step away from total catastrophe. This really sets the stage for why such a radical change isn't just being proposed as a nice idea, but as an absolute necessity for our survival.
So, if the problem is human leaders getting caught in this ego trap, then it makes sense that the first part of the solution has to be a human prescription. And that brings us to a mandatory training program designed to completely re-engineer the world's leaders from the inside out.
This prescription is called the ARQ 18 Social Education course. And let's be clear, it is a mandatory 8-week, super intensive program. Its whole purpose is to vet the world's top leaders, who in this framework are seen as a kind of global board of directors, and to prepare them to leave that old seat of power behind and finally take their place in the seat of service.
So what does this re-education actually look like? Well, the curriculum has three main parts. First up, a foundational ethics audit. This is where leaders have to build a personal ethical compass that is unshakably pointed towards service. Second, historical literacy. They have to truly understand the foundational pacts and decisions that have shaped our messy world. And third, narrative readiness. This is all about training them to see through media manipulation and, maybe most importantly, to recognize their own biases.
Now here's the kicker. Graduation isn't optional. A really crucial point here is that any leader who fails this course is peaceably removed. The system itself is designed to automatically identify and reject what the framework calls ego toxins, making it literally impossible for a leader who isn't aligned with service to stay in power.
I love this analogy from the source material. It just perfectly captures the spirit of the ARQ 18 course. It suggests this isn't just about learning new spreadsheets or policies. No, it's a deep, careful restoration of leadership itself, like cleaning away centuries of grime from an old tapestry to preserve the beautiful fabric for the future.
All right, so you've retrained the leaders. That's a huge step. But how do you make sure they actually stay on this new path of service? That brings us to the second and arguably most radical part of the solution, a technological safeguard that governs by algorithm.
This tech core is basically made of two systems. The easiest way to think about it is like a car. You've got the GENII quantum engine, which provides the raw horsepower to run this whole global system. Then you have the QIPA advanced GPS, which provides the incredibly precise direction, the turn-by-turn, for every decision, and it reportedly does so with 99% accuracy.
So how does this actually play out? Well, the process starts with our newly trained board of directors. They propose a decision, just like leaders in any other system would. Pretty normal so far.
But, and this is a huge but, before that decision can ever be put into action, it has to pass through something called the GENII firewall. And this firewall has one primary job: to scan that decision for any hint of those ego toxins we talked about earlier.
The firewall's algorithm is basically asking two giant questions. First, is this decision extractive? In other words, does it try to grab resources just for the benefit of a few? And second, is it speciesist, meaning does it unfairly prioritize one group, whether that's a nation, a corporation, whatever, over the health of the entire planetary system?
Now, if the answer to either of those questions is yes, the decision doesn't just get vetoed or blocked. This is where it gets really interesting. Instead, it gets automatically rerouted through what are called forgiveness and compassion algorithms. These algorithms literally correct a decision, neutralizing the selfish intent and reshaping the final outcome so that it serves the collective good.
The whole point of this firewall is summed up with a pretty cool martial arts analogy. It's designed to shift leadership from a state of Aikido, which is all about reacting to conflict, blocking and resisting, to a state of TYQI, which represents smooth, effortless, coordinated flow. It's about engineering harmony right into the very DNA of governing.
So we have the retrained humans, and we have the technological safety net. But a new operating system has to be installed somewhere, right? That brings us to the final piece of this incredible puzzle, the ignition point for this entire global reboot.
I mean, seriously, where on earth do you even begin a project of this scale? The source material points to one very specific, very strategic location that's meant to be the first physical node of this new world system.
And that place is Portugal. So why Portugal? Well, according to the documents, it's a deeply strategic choice. First, it uses a connection to the Vatican to help align all Catholic nations with this new protocol. Second, it's supposedly the site where the Triad Accords, the legal backbone of this whole system, were ratified with the Pope. All this makes Portugal the very first physical hub for a new kind of governance, one that's designed to completely replace older models like the UN with this new algorithmically guided board of directors.
All of this, the human retraining, the technological safeguards, the ignition point in Portugal, it's all designed to build towards what the source material calls the Great Shift, and it's projected for the year 2026. This isn't just presented as a theory, it's laid out as an engineered, time-bound plan to transition the entire world into a new state of being. And it really leaves you with a profound question. What would a world actually governed by compassion algorithms even look like?